So oftentimes we can see self-care as something that's like reactive. When something goes bad, okay, how do I retreat and take care of myself, bring care to me? But how do we practice being proactive with our self-care? What does that look like?
I think you guys made some really good points there about, it can be something that's, like getting a massage. Some people think of the more frivolous things, but I also think of all the really practical day-to-day things. I know last night in our Unraveled group, our first night, the first thing we look at is our sleep patterns. What are your consistent in your sleeping? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you going to bed on time? Are you waking up at a reasonable time? What are the things that are keeping you from getting to bed on time? So when I think about being proactive, I think it kind of comes to like a shift in our perspective. And you guys brought up like food, and for me this has been part of my journey as well. So I think about it, if we gain 10 pounds and then we're like, oh, I need to start doing something to create better habits in my life. And then we start exercising and we start, being intentional about what we're putting in our body. And we're constantly like doing that catching up game. We can do that in our spirituality too. If we only pray and we only get in the word when life is hard, we're going to find that things are not going to go as well for us. Where if we were intentional, in our food journey, in what we're putting in our body on a regular basis, we're not going to have these deep dips where our weight gain is out of control. And the same in our spiritual walk. So I think self-care in all of these areas, if we're just taking it one little step at a time and we're being more consistent with it, it's in the long run, it's just going to kind of even things out for us in our life. And we're not going to have those deep emotional dips and just the extra stress that we have, especially in the holidays.
The word that comes to mind for me when I think of proactive self care is the word rhythms. What are the rhythms that I'm establishing in my life that I know create health, create margin, create space for God and relationships? And we see this all the way back into the beginning of creation and in Genesis 1 and 2, that God gives this intentional rhythm of Sabbath and of resting from his work on the seventh day, and then telling the people of Israel, 6 days you can work, but then rest. And this rhythm of, I have to have times where I'm able to take a break from work. And so for me, like, there's a lot of intentionality. Now, I'm not as intentional about the Sabbath concept as, some could train me in that. But like when it comes to taking work home on the weekend, those of you that know me at PD, like, I don't do it. I don't reply to emails. I mean, yeah, if there have been times crises happen or emergencies come up or we're doing events on weekends, but in general, like when I leave Friday afternoon, it's like, I'll see you Monday, and whatever needs to happen can wait. And so for me, I know that's part of my self-care, that otherwise I get too wrapped up in work. I don't engage with my family. I'm always on. And now I could probably use some similar rhythms with how do I also pause from work at home, and just that feeling of always doing something. But that's just something I think about, that maybe we might be tempted to undervalue, to just say, well, yeah, of course I take the weekends off and I don't work. Like, well, no, that is a form of self-care, that you're seeing I'm a healthier person when I do this. So for me, that also includes making sure I get out on a run 3 to 5 days a week. And I know not everyone runs. Other people, it might be the gym or other cardio or biking or just a walk or getting out and, playing fetch with the dog. That rhythms like that, where I know I'm getting my heart rate up, I'm getting some sustained cardiovascular work. It's just going to make me a better person the rest of the week. I'm able to deal with stress better. I'm more resilient. And I don't wait until I'm stressed out to go for a run. I mean, sometimes I do. That can be a way to manage stress. But I just know, hey, I want to be in a healthy headspace. Getting regular exercise makes a big difference. So what are the rhythms that for you support self-care? And then maybe really pertinent to this episode, if we see that we have those rhythms, how do we make sure we don't totally abandon them during Christmas? Because I think that's what happens to way too many people. They have good rhythms, and then Christmas comes, and holidays and vacations and Christmas parties and cookie trays and their favorite candies back in the store. And it's just like, there go all of my healthy rhythms. And I get that we might adjust some of them, but how could we hold on to the rhythms that we know are crucial for us? Because that really becomes sustainable self-care.
Yeah, and proactive is really just planning ahead. And so if you know that you're going to have, and this is, man, maybe this is silly, but like, that there's going to be tons of food and tons of sugar and whatever at the celebration, what if you just ate something healthy before you went over? What if you knew you had something that was on plan? And Kelly, I'm in the same boat. I've been on that journey for a while too with food. It's definitely something I can numb out with. Like, that's a proactive step you're taking to care for yourself so that when you get there, you aren't as hungry and you don't want to dive into, the pumpkin pie or whatever you're eating. Not that I would do that, but I totally would. But it's something that, like for me, that's part of my self-care rhythm anyway, but then taking even more proactive steps during the holidays when things aren't as rhythmic when it comes to schedule and food and who you're spending time with.
Well, this is something that I have on my 3 circles exercise, those behaviors in those outer circles. Maybe you need to do one specifically for the holiday and just like giving yourself some guidelines for what are those healthy rhythms that you want to keep through the holidays. And yeah, I mean, that's something I do regularly, but yeah, specifically in the holiday. Because if we're not, it's a slippery slope down slippery slide.
Yeah. And then we start to say, well, January I'll be better. January I'll do better. Right. And maybe we do, but why wait? And I love that idea, Kelly. Why not pull out a blank 3 circles tool and fill one out just for the holidays and kind of call it like, this is my holidays 3 circle plan. And it might look a little different, might have some unique things on it because of the unique challenges you'll face.